All right, good afternoon, and thank you everyone for joining us for our Acumatica virtual lunch and learn. My name is Stefan Southwell. I'm the Director of Client Services here at CompuTrack. And yeah, I hope you have something nice to eat in front of you. Today, myself and Eric Moreau, the Director of Pre-Sales at Acumatica, will be going through some information on the Acumatica Cloud ERP, as well as giving you a quick demo of the software of the product and how it can help you in your business. And we'll open up the lines for some Q&A at the end. So a quick agenda, I'm going to go through some information on digital transformation and the new normal. I'm going to talk to you guys about what is Acumatica. I'm going to tell you why customers love Acumatica and briefly go through the different modules and additions that could fit your business. I will give you a little bit of a rundown on the technology behind it, and then of course you'll get a demo of the system and some Q&A at the end. So what is digital transformation? I know this word's been thrown around a lot. Just as we use technology in our own personal lives to pay taxes or pay bills, um, we need that technology to function in our new society, and so does our business. Our business needs to evolve to compete in this digital world. And as our business are going through this digital transformation, we need to have a platform that can support that. Digital transformation is what Acumatica has been doing for over a decade now, bringing enterprise-grade tools to the mid-market at small business prices. This has become a new requirement for business. And I know that's a bold statement, but just look at how fast things are changing and everything is online now. Our businesses need to change. Modern technology is not all that it takes. You must update your people and your processes as well. We've learned thanks to COVID that we need to be able to work from anywhere. Businesses around the world were scrambling to move their workforce to a remote setup. And now that COVID is mostly over, employees will continue to expect to be able to work remotely. In order to attract the best talents, this is turning into a requirement that everyone will look for, and they'll look for companies that do offer that. So Acumatica is a cloud ERP for resilient businesses. Built for a mobile and telework scenario, it provides a connected business with rapid integrations, easy for remote collaboration, perfect for business resilience and future-proofing your system. What is Acumatica? Acumatica is a global cloud ERP with locations worldwide and partners who help localize the system for the specific regional requirements. And this year, Acumatica is making Canada a priority, hiring local resources and supporting local partners like us so we can support Canadian businesses. So how do we know that that customers love Acumatica? Well, the results speak for themselves. Acumatica is the world's fastest growing provider of cloud business management software with the industry's highest customer satisfaction rating. And that's not a coincidence. We view customers as our most important asset and are committed to their success. Other reasons why customers love Acumatica is because of the modern growth-friendly licenses on a pay-as-you-go basis that can grow and shrink with your business or seasonal needs. There's no per-user licensing cost. Let me just say that another way. You get unlimited user licensing. I know this is something very foreign to us Sage users, but it's something that I believe is very powerful for new growing businesses. It allows you to scale without having your system become a drag on your growth. And every authorized person can access, create, and receive information that they need to drive the business, regardless of how frequent they use it, if they're a casual user, external vendors even, partners, customers. The licensing is very flexible and you only pay for the computing power behind what you use. Unlike other vendors who lock you into data centers, with Acumatica, you decide where you host your data. You can host in a public cloud, we can go a private cloud, or even on premise. Your data is something that's always secured and always in your hands. At any time, you can do a full relational database export so that you can get your data the way you want, anytime you want. Acumatica also provides free training, and this is something that customers have really grown to love. The Open University is great. I use it all the time. There's self-guided, self-paced learning for all the modules. Um, and then there's even instructor-led classes available in different areas. If you go to the Acumatica Summit, they have different training classes available, so everyone can learn how to use the system. There's no hindrance there. So some of the world's research firms have studied Acumatica, and G2 is one example of that. They're the world's largest and most trusted tech marketplace. That's where regular people can go to review software, and based on those results, Acumatica is a leader in customer satisfaction. Software reviews put together the collective knowledge of real IT professionals to cut through marketing material and provide the most accurate and detailed view of the software market. And they ranked Acumatica as a champion in the net emotional footprint, which measures high levels of user sentiment in areas of service, product impact, strategy, innovation, and more. And Nucleus Research puts Acumatica in the leaders quadrant for their focus on usability and customer value. Few other notable mentions are the SIA Awards, which are similar to the Oscars of the ERP industry because they're peer review, peer judged awards. PC Magazine, they've chosen Acumatica as the editor's choice 4 years in a row. And of course, we've talked about Gartner and G2 already. So I know this is an old number now, but 6,500 plus customers worldwide and growing, and 180 million plus ERP transactions per month. And again, these are old numbers. Acumatica is growing at a wonderful rate, especially here in Canada. Here's a list of some of the customers in the various industry verticals. Um, a lot of these are US, but you can see some big names. And the system that they're using is the same system that you'll receive, the same functionality, hosted in the same platform, meaning you get the same uptime, reliable promises that they promise these big companies you get as well. One thing that I found to be very unique among ERP vendors was the customer bill of rights. And this is their promise that they make to their customers and the rules that they live by. Some notable mentions is the consumption-based licensing that I mentioned, basically unlimited users, the sustainable pricing with annual increases of no more than 3%, access to your data anytime, anywhere, and the dual layers of support. So they support local businesses and partners like myself to support you, but you can also go directly to them for your support. And their support team is amazing. I use them all the time. Now, I apologize if I'm going really quickly. There's a lot of information to cover, and I want to make sure that you get a high-level view of everything that Acumatica can do for you. So really quickly, I'm going to go through the core modules out of Acumatica, as well as the industry editions that give you a little bit more functionality in the specific industry verticals. And so just talking about the core modules that everyone gets, financial management, GL, ARAP, PO, order entry, everything you would expect. Inventory management, tracking everything from lots to serials, warehousing, everything connects through inventory management. Project accounting could be something interesting for not-for-profits, tracking things like as programs. There's also in the construction industry, a more detailed version of project accounting, which will really help you in the construction industry. Payroll is something that's coming in Canada shortly. Built-in CRM or customer management, so that you don't need a separate system to handle that. Everything's integrated, and those workflow processes from quote to sale happen seamlessly through the system, as well as field service. So booking people to go out and schedule maintenance, again, from booking that field service to invoicing the customer is all seamless. So really quickly, just some high level points of each module. I just want you to see a listing of what's included, and just differentiate between the system you have today. So I know things like fixed assets aren't something core out of most ERP systems, but that's something you get out of Acumatica, as well as automated expense management and AP document recognition, things that you get out of the box. Inventory management, multiple costing methods, lot and serial, automated replenishment tools, and just the order management system. So omni-channel, you can connect it to your e-commerce, as well as have sales reps on the road pumping in orders, manage your pricing and discounts all in the system, and just a standard warehouse management and barcoding system that you can use or connect other tools to. Project accounting, just tracking and budgeting and costing by project, having advanced billing by project, tracking all the expenses revenue so you can get a P&L by project. The CRM, sales automation, lead and opportunity tracking, everything you would expect from a sales CRM tool built into the system. Field service, again, that schedule and dispatch, the equipment and maintenance tracking, routing and planning, and warranty tracking all built in. So now let's look at the industry editions. These are the industry verticals that they've built special editions for to enhance the functionality so that these people who work in these industry verticals get the tools they need without having to have other bolt-ons or third-party integrations. So general business is what everyone's going to start with. You can, that has everything I just mentioned before, but then from there you can go deeper in the construction edition, distribution edition, manufacturing edition, or the retail commerce edition. So construction offers things like construction financials, a more detailed job costing, payroll that ties to your job so you can track cost by job, payroll by job, but then also have that link to your GL. And the project management tools are just stellar. They are designed for the construction industry, so you can do your daily reports for the project that typically happen on paper, but now you can do it in the system and track it by project. Really just this modern cloud platform that typically hasn't been available in the construction industry is now available in Acumatica. Distribution ERP. Basically, it has everything you need to support and service your customers from their first initial view of your websites all the way through to order to make sure that their orders are processed and handled and delivered correctly, and making sure you have happy clients from start to finish. It has the fulfillment and inventory management, warehouse management, and all the pricing tools you need to have that integration to your either to your sales reps or to your e-commerce. Manufacturing edition, bill of materials and routings through the plant, your ERP requirements or your MRP requirements, shop floor data collection, basically what you need to process your orders through the plant and track them so you know where everything is and at what stages everything is so that you can keep the schedule on time and your deliveries on time. Retail Commerce Edition all has the omni-channel backends. So again, connecting to your e-commerce front end, has out-of-the-box connectors to Shopify, BigCommerce, and other platforms so that you can have that seamless delivery to your customers from front to back. Has the warehouse management, again, so you know where things are. When customers place an order, they'll be able to see it and know exactly when they're going to receive it. And then also the integrated financials and integrated tax and shipping modules. So all that can get tied in together with the built-in BI and analytics with 250 standard reports, no code custom reporting, or with some powerful add-ons like the Tangerine reporting tool, which we use today. Some of you might know it as Sage Enterprise Intelligence. Some people use Power BI or Tableau, and Velixo is a very popular one in the Acumatica community. but full reporting and dashboarding capabilities allows you to visualize your data and actually make quick decisions using that data, not having to manipulate that in Excel and wait for somebody to process that data before you can make a decision. So let's talk a little bit now about the technology behind Acumatica. It's a future-proof platform, meaning it's designed to grow and change and be flexible. Starting from the bottom, the tech stack is really AWS as the backend or Microsoft Azure, SQL database, MySQL database. It's not a proprietary flat file that you won't be able to have access to. And this is why they allow you to host this in a private cloud or a public cloud or on-premise. It's truly up to you. Going up from there is where they built the Acumatica Cloud platform. So it allows you to have your integration services, have your multi-tenant, have your cross-browser support so you can run this on any browser. This is the platform that everything's built on and you can connect to, allowing for that easy integration. Above that is the Acumatica Cloud ERP. So I went through the different modules that comes with it, or the industry editions that also you can choose from. And on top of that, they have connected applications where you can add on different third-party tools. There's a whole marketplace of integrations that can get embedded into Acumatica. And so we'll look at a few of those right now. So here's a quick example of some of the current integrations. I'm pretty sure there's several hundred of them by now and more coming. But because they have an open API, it's very easy to connect to other cloud-based tools that also have an open API. And that's what makes it future-proof, allowing you to use the tools you need for your business. Just to get into security a bit, Acumatica has an extremely robust security stack. They use AWS for their data centers with physical security. They have role-based access within the Acumatica product, which means only access is provided to the individual users that need and use that data. We can set all that security up, and two-factor authentication is built in, so everything is going to be safe. And again, I mentioned that flexible deployment. So basically you can have it deployed in AWS in their public cloud, and that's the SaaS offering that most people choose. But again, if you wanted to put in a private cloud, they have a private cloud. We can put in your private cloud. The choice is yours. They don't want to lock you in. They want to give you choices. All right, so with that, that's my presentation for Acumatica. I hope you got a little clue, a little idea of who they are and what they're about. But now I'm going to pass it over to Eric to give you a demonstration of the product.
All right, very good. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Eric Moreau. I am the Director of Pre-Sales here at Acumatica, speaking to you from lovely New Hampshire this afternoon. Unlike last weekend where we had some snow up in the mountains here, unfortunately, but looking forward to taking you through the product. Just a little bit about myself. I've been in Acumatica here about 5 years. I've been in technology for about 20 years, though. So after the service, after university, I was 4 years in public accounting and then 4 years as a controller before I got into technology. So, very comfortable in the world of the accounting, and then I've done some implementations and project management. So, I've been involved in distribution projects, all that aspects of it, some of the things that Stefan had talked about. I don't have a background in manufacturing. So if you have manufacturing questions today, we may have to hold those up and then address them later. Actually, speaking of questions, Stefan, is the plan for them to submit that through the chat, or are you opening the lines? How are you going to handle the Q&A?
Yeah, any questions that you guys have, you can put it through the chat and we'll answer that at the end.
Okay, very good. So again, look for the in the toolbar for Teams. You should be able to find a chat and just drop your questions in there and we'll address them at the end. Okay, so again, what I'm going to do is just give you a tour of Acumatica. I'm not really planning on going all too deep today, and not that Acumatica isn't deep, it's actually quite deep, but really all we want to do is plant the seed for what Acumatica brings to the table And again, hopefully we show you enough that it excites you and says, you know what, I want to learn a little bit more about this solution. And to Stefan's earlier points about updated slides, yeah, so we actually have closer to 9,000 customers at this point. I think the slide he had is 6,500, so we're closer to 9,000 customers at this point. So just wanted to point that out to you. So again, I'm going to start off with a tour when we talk about the user interface and how to get around Acumatica. And then from there, we'll just kind of look at some transactions so you can kind of see what it looks like. And then we'll wrap up with a Q&A. And based on some of the questions, maybe we'll look at other aspects of Acumatica as well. With that, folks, I'm actually logged in as a super user. So as a super user, right, I have access to all these various workspaces that you see coming down the left-hand side. Now, some of the things we'll be into today, like sales orders and perhaps purchasing, but we have what we call GLAPAR, right? GLAPAR. So all that's available to you within Acumatica. And then underneath more items, again, I just don't have it on display, but things like projects or fixed assets. So as Stefan mentioned, we can add fixed assets, and that's how quick it is. I can access the information. Now I can also access it from here as well, but allows you to configure your workspaces. Also payroll, north of the border, payroll will be out, should be general availability at the end of this year, the beginning of next year. So that'll be Canadian payroll and some of the uniquities, if you will, as it relates to Canadian payroll compared to what we have here in the US. Okay, so if I look at a particular workspace, so for example, this is my payables workspace, and I can show you everything that's in that workspace, but you can see it actually can be a little bit overwhelming. So within Acumatica, what we allow you to do, we allow you to configure the workspace for your specific needs. So, these are the things that I'm doing, maybe throughout the course of the week, or these are these tiles, if you will. These are things I'm doing day in and day out. So also what we have is the ability to relabel any of these to, again, to fit your specific terminology, if you will. I was able to configure this. Hey, this is if someone that's moving over from QuickBooks perhaps, and they're nervous about moving to a new solution, so we relabeled this to say, you know what, use this to enter AP invoices. And I put a couple stars on there to make it important. But really my idea here is just to show you how you can configure Acumatica. Now, in this case, we also have our favorites. So these are the things that we're doing day in and day out. Rather than worry about, geez, where do I find them? I can just add them to my favorites, and the user could actually conceivably run their entire day directly from their favorites page. Now, some of these demos that I've seen from my colleagues present, they'll have 20 different items on here, but it includes everything that they're doing throughout the course of the day. Now, each time I click on the Acumatica logo on the top left-hand side, it's bringing me back to my home page. In this case, it happens to be the controller dashboard. But depending on your role, there could be different dashboards that are important to you. And we're going to talk more about dashboards here in just a moment. But for now, what I want to talk about is the very powerful tool in Acumatica called Universal Search. Like the name implies, it's going to allow me to search on virtually anything within Acumatica. I mean, maybe many of you are on the financial side. Where do I maintain my financial calendar? Well, in Acumatica, all you have to do is just type in financial and see how the menu items bring up master financial calendar. And then if I wanted to, I can go to the help topics and I can, okay, well, there's my help on the different topics as it relates to financial calendars. Or if I want, we have case capabilities within Acumatica support. So if I want to do cases, this is where I can find the menu items that has to do with cases. These are my transactions that happen to have cases. There's different cases associated within here as well. I could do, again, help topics, or there's also files. So any Word document, Excel, JPEG, PDF, any of those documents you're going to store within Acumatica. And a good example of that is if I call up, here I'm going to use Universal Search, customer calls up, here's my phone number, and boom, I can able to call up their customer record very quickly. All right, and then on that customer record, you're going to see that we actually have a file attached, and there's their credit application. So now if I go back to that Alta Ace, and type in the word credit, see how I'm able to find that file very quickly. I didn't necessarily have to go to the records. Hey, I need to see Alta Ace's credit app. Just type it in Universal Search, and there we are. So you may see me using Universal Search throughout today's session as part of my demo as well. All right, so again, let's visit dashboards Okay, so when we talk about the various types of dashboards, we have a number of role-based dashboards. Some of these we'll look at here in just a couple of moments, but for now, let's just continue to work with that controller dashboard. Folks, really think of this as like an artist's canvas, right? I know it's kind of corny, but in my job, what we're supposed to do is do what we can to make things interesting and help you remember them. In this case, when I talk about a dashboard, think of it as an artist's canvas. And upon that canvas, instead of putting paint, we're actually putting a number of inquiries. So if I want to see what are my customers that are on credit hold, all I do is I drill back, and there's the one customer that's on credit hold. I'm lucky enough that's only the one customer. But from here, folks, see how I can drill back and I can get to additional pieces of information. Here's the customer record. And if I wanted to, I could get all the way to the transaction as well. So I could look at their AR register from here. So I started at a very high level. And within just a few clicks, by the way, notice how it opened a tab, right? Not all cloud solutions can do that. But every time I clicked on an item, it opened up a new tab for me. So I can always get back to where I started. Okay. Or if I wanted to look at an AR aging, yes, we have an AR aging in Acumatica, but we may want to put that at our fingertips directly on our dashboard. All right. There's my income versus expenses. All right. Now, what I want to show you is just the different types of what we call widgets. So if I click here, you could do a chart, which we see in the back right-hand corner here. I could do a data table, say, hey, just list all open sales orders or whatever the case may be, or key performance indicators. That's what we see here. See how we're tracking the trends, if you will. That's what we call a key performance indicator. Or you can link to other websites like UPS or FedEx or a pivot table. For those of you that worked in Excel before and have worked with pivot tables, we can include pivot tables directly on your dashboards too. Okay. So let's talk about some of the role-based dashboards that we have out there, right? So this is one that I really like. Again, having come from the finance side, right? I remember the old days, my old CFO, Dave, would come to me and after, oh, hey, Dave, we closed the books in 3 days. He goes, that's great. However, I just found this transaction from last month that was never posted. Well, at Acumatica, that's never a problem anymore because what I'm going to do for my AP clerk dashboard, I'm going to list unreleased documents in prior months. So this is something that could impact my month end, right? So from here, what I can do is I can drill down and I can actually go ahead and remove the particular transaction if I wanted to. In this case, I'm going to release it. In Acumatica speak means post to the general ledger, APAR, wherever it may be. When we release something in Acumatica, it's going to update. So now if I go back to that dashboard, and now if I refresh it, you'll see that I only have one document from the prior month, but still, knowing Dave, nonetheless, it's still one too many. Or other things, we have documents on hold or documents to release, drill back, documents to approve. We'll talk about approvals here in just a moment. Just some of the other dashboards that kind of talk about the functionality earlier. Stefan was talking about CRM. Well, look at the CRM flow, and these are the types of things that you can manage within Acumatica: leads, opportunities, quotes, and cases. And again, my intention here, folks, is just keep it at a high level so that hopefully we pique your interest. Or again, I do a lot of project accounting demos, so this is the project flow dashboard. So we talk about timesheets and expense reports, the ability to manage purchase orders on your projects, as well as do your billing. Well, record AP bills. Everything flows through the general ledger. And on the right side of the equation, we do all of our billing that you'll see will automatically and seamlessly flow into the general ledger as well. So let me just see if there's any other dashboards. Yeah, right. We talk about a purchasing manager dashboard. This is a way that we can help you manage your business proactively instead of reactively. Here's an example. Hey, what do I need to buy? All right, well, you got shortages of 3 units. So if I drill back here, you can see what are the 3 items, which warehouse is being impacted if you have more than one warehouse, and then how many do I need to order in order to meet demand. Or again, if I go back to that same dashboard, the other thing we're going to talk about more is approvals as well. Okay. All right, just a couple more things as it relates to the product. I want to talk about the ability to manage multiple companies, multiple branches. So for those of you that have different entities within Acumatica, you can set that up. And then if I wanted to, I could log into Services West, for example, very quickly, and I can log in and manage see how it shows up in a different color. That logo doesn't look too good in red. But again, I can manage that. And again, if I didn't have access to Services West or Services East, then I would not see them as part of my availability. In this case, as I mentioned, I'm actually a super user, so I do have access to everything. Okay, so then I can do my products wholesale, and this is where we're maintaining our demo. Another nice feature within Acumatica, if I look at the customer view dashboard, we have something called the side panel. All right, now before we get to the side panel, just look at this example. Here's a trend, sales trend, for those of you that are interested in using Acumatica to track sales activity. What are my orders to ship? What are my open opportunities? What are the top 10 items sold in the last 12 months? Again, I'm going to have access as well as the ability to drill back to see transactions and then recent activities. Again, we talked about a table type in the dashboard. This is an example. Just show me all recent activities, all right, or customer contacts. Now, what a side panel is, if you see, I drill back and I have 152 open opportunities. And if I highlight a particular row, you know, in like a lot of solutions, you can drill back and say, hey, on here, I can drill back and see the opportunity. Well, in Acumatica, we use a side panel. So it's number 390. If I want to see that, I just click here, and there's the side panel for that particular opportunity. You may say, geez, Eric, that's great, but you know what? We're not using CRM. We have no intention of using Acumatica CRM. And then, although disappointed to hear that, it doesn't matter. Side panels are available throughout Acumatica, so we can show you another example where they may be used as well. So there's an opportunity for, looks like Morrissey's. If I click potential distribution partnership, you'll see that it's actually updated and I can see that opportunity. And if I want to see the entire opportunity, I just click here and there's the entire window with all the activities that are associated with that as well. Or as I'm looking at this customer, maybe I want to see a customer view. So that dashboard that you and I just saw, now look at it, it's being modified or refreshed, if you will, for this particular customer. Okay, so if I go back onto this particular item, see how it refreshes with Alta Ace's information. I can see the orders to ship or late orders specific to that customer, what's their trend, etc. Or another great example, this is one I really like, is I'm looking at a list of my sales orders and I'm wondering, geez, what's going on with Alta Ace? What's going on with their aging? I can click here and I now have access to their aging, and I can drill back to the invoice directly from here as well. So very powerful. The side panels are very powerful tools as well. So that's still loading. I'm just going to refresh. I click on a different row. So Chevy Computers, and you'll see how the side panel automatically refreshes with their 4 or 5 invoices. So that was just an overview of Acumatica, how to get around. We talked about the ability to use universal search to search on virtually anything within Acumatica, including things like files or customers. I called up that customer Alta Ace very quickly by entering their phone number. We talked about the workspaces and the ability to configure your workspaces for your specific needs, including the ability to relabel, not just the tiles, but any of these descriptions can be retiled to fit your specific needs. All right. We talked about dashboards and different types of dashboards. And again, remember my corny analogy, it's really just like an artist canvas that's got a bunch of activity or queries added to the canvas. And then here you can actually push this out to the mobile device. If we have time, we may show you the mobile device capabilities. But for now, that's how easy it is to push dashboards out to the mobile device. And then again, don't forget, we have the ability to manage multiple companies, multiple branches within Acumatica. So based on some feedback with Stefan, we talked about a couple of things that you may be interested. One of them may be being able to create a purchase order directly from a sales order. So in this case, I've created SO6885. I created this earlier. All right. And if you look, so there's Alta Ace. If I needed to add items, look, I could actually add items here. If I said, show me everything that was sold since a particular period, and there it is. Maybe the customer says, hey, I bought this in March of 21. So we could back this up to, well, October 21, whatever the case may be, and we can identify that transaction. Okay. The other thing I really like about this is if you look at the row that I added here, you could see the on hand, available, and available for shipping immediately. Okay. So let's just see if I add the Lego item, you'll see how the numbers are going to change here. And again, for the Lego, it's 1880. For the Acer laptop, it's 629. Okay. The other thing that we can manage within Acumatica, in this case, I put 10 Acer laptops, but watch if I change this to 1. it's going to be $500. Why? Because we offer a volume discount. If you buy more than 3, in this case 3, it's going to give you the discount. But for my demo purposes, I'm going to show you the 10, and you'll see how the price automatically reflected. All right, we're not going to enter it today, but just recognize that we do have the ability to work with matrix items. So this is a size, color, style. So for those of you that are needing, not necessarily, we always think about it as apparel, size, color, style, but it could be other electronics, for example, maybe circuits that have different ohms or amps that are associated with it. You could use matrix items from that perspective as well. Now, in this case, you'll see it's sales order 6885. And if you mention, as I mentioned, I could mark this for PO. Now, I could do a drop ship. So if I want to buy these 10 Acer laptops, I can have them drop ship directly to the customer. All right. Or I could have them purchase to order, which means I'm going to have them brought into the warehouse for processing. Okay. So what I do is I go ahead and I've saved this. I've marked for PO. From here, I can go ahead and create the purchase order. Okay, and there it is. There's the 10 units that came over, and now this will be associated with that sales order, and there's the sales order 6885. So you can imagine if I had several transactions, I could schedule this to run automatically. I'm just going to go ahead and process the one. All right, and that quickly we've now created the purchase order for this particular item. Okay, so there's the purchase order. And then if I want to look at the PO history, I would see, again, as product is received, I would see it here. There's other information that's associated with this particular transaction. All right. Otherwise, we would receive the product and we'd be on our way. Okay, so that's how easy it is to create a purchase order directly from a sales order, where we can also do drop shipments. The other thing I want to show you is the ability to do blanket purchase orders. So here I'm going to call up sales order 6886, and it actually said sales order, but it's actually BL for blanket. Now, in this case, what you can see is we actually have the different line items, and everything looks different, and maybe the quantity is different, but if you scroll over here a little bit, you'll see they're actually going to a different ship to location. Look how easy it is to work within Acumatica. That's a pretty important field, so I'm just going to drag and drop that field over here. By the way, for those of you that are apprehensive or not familiar with a cloud environment, we are working in a cloud environment. I'm actually hitting our AWS server at this point. Now, again, because you are north of the border, your server, your AWS server would be hosted in Canada. We have 2 data centers, or AWS has 2 data centers in Eastern and Western Canada, and that's where your data would be served. In my case, I'm here in the US, so we're sitting, I think I'm in Washington somewhere, but I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, very easy to work with, and I want to point that out for those of you that, sure, you surf the web looking at buying stuff or reading news or whatnot, but you never think of it from an ERP solution, what it's like. Very easy to use. Now you see that I have the different locations, and what I can do is I can create the child orders. Now what's nice about this, it actually is going to look at the various locations, Chicago, Las Vegas, and my main, which USA Bartending is in New Jersey, I believe. So all the taxes will be calculated accordingly. So now I have the various sales orders that have been created. And if I click on the child orders, there's the sales orders, and now they're waiting to be processed. So from here, if I wanted to do a drop ship, well, then very easily I call up the sales order. Again, I mark for PO, and this time I would choose drop ship. Not going to continue with the process because other than making a selection here, it's not much different. Okay. The other thing I want to talk about, I just want to kind of show you what transactions look like within Acumatica. But the other thing I want to talk about are assignment and approval maps. All right, so Stefan and I had talked about this and felt this would be important. And the way I want to show you this is, well, let's see what an approval map is. A picture's worth 1,000 words. In this case, I'm looking at my AP transactions. And what I can do is, by department, if I enter an AP invoice and it's for consulting expenses, and how do I know it's by consulting? Again, this is one of those things, keeping it high level now, but if you were lucky enough to be brought back in for a deeper dive, we would talk about, how you manage the different departments and how you manage your chart of accounts within Acumatica, right? So there's finance or warehouse. So what happens if I enter an AP invoice, it's going to evaluate, and let's say this is going to consulting expenses, but specifically the department called consulting, it's going to go to Martin for approval. Or if it's finance, it's going to go to Layla for approval. Again, if you look, see how the value here is being updated. If it's warehouse, it's going to go to Yona for approval. And if it's just general operations, it goes to Eric. Or I could say, if it's this vendor, I want it to go to Anna for approval. So now you can set it up by vendor. And the way I would look at this in the old days, when I happened to be a controller and we had a facilities manager, his name was Paul Tardif. And he was always looking for his facilities invoices, whether it was lawn care, whether it was facilities, building maintenance, snow plowing here in New Hampshire, much like you deal with. As soon as those vendors would come in, it would be set off to Paul for approval. So very easy to manage that process. Or if it's greater than $1,000, you would see it would get set off for approval as well. Okay. So again, just wanted to kind of plant that seed with you. We have the ability to manage that. And again, I showed you on the AP invoice, but we could do with it throughout Acumatica. So if you're entering time cards, or if you're entering quotes or orders with large discounts, we can set those aside. And then here on the purchasing manager dashboard, I showed you this. There's the POs pending approval. And if I wanted to drill back, I could see what the PO is. I could drill back. It's pending approval. I'm okay with it. I can approve it or reject it. I go ahead and approve it. Notice how the status is updated automatically. And if I go back onto that dashboard, much like when we saw that other transaction that we released, all right, you'll see now that PO's pending approval is 1. But did you also notice it went from yellow to green? Because we can use Acumatica in color coding, right? Very creative here at Acumatica. Red means we're concerned. Yellow is cautionary. Green means we're good. So having 1 PO out for approval is acceptable, but apparently having 2 triggered a warning within Acumatica, so it showed up in yellow. Okay. So that was kind of everything that I wanted to go over in today's session. I know we want to be sensitive to your time, and I know Stefan wants to get to a couple of questions. So why don't we go ahead and do that now, Stefan?
Sure. Let's go to a few questions that I've gotten from other customers. Question 1 is there barcoding for the distribution edition?
Yes. Short answer is yes. We do have WMS capabilities within Acumatica, and you can manage your barcodes through there if that's the avenue from which you're asking. But WMS is an additional fee just because it's a more robust warehouse management system. But we can manage your items through barcoding, so it will help during your receiving, your put away, your picking, your packing, and really the big benefit that our clients get is if you use WMS and the barcoding is during your physical inventory process. We can scan your items, count your items, and help make that painful physical inventory process a little bit easier.
Perfect. Kaylee's wrote, she's wondering how pricing works since it's not by user.
Okay, so Stefan, that pricing I normally defer back to you.
Sure, I can handle that.
Okay.
So how it's based is on consumption. We take your transactions and we find out what's your most popular transaction. What do you do the most of? Is it a sales order or a purchase order? And we use that to estimate the amount of computing power we need to run your system. And so with that, we charge you for that amount and we monitor it. And if you go below, we can reduce it. If you're above, after a few months, we'll tell you like you're doing more transactions and the price will go up. But it's really about the amount of computing power required to process your most prevalent transaction.
Yeah, so think of it as database size. What we don't want you to walk away with or hang up saying, oh my gosh, it's going to cost me a nickel per transaction. That's exactly not what we do. It's pure volume. We're going to look at the size of the database that you need to manage all of your transactions. And again, basically, folks, it's small, medium, and large, but within there we have extra small, medium, small, small, small. And so it gets a little, well, I don't want to scare you off by saying it's a little complex, but at the end of the day, when you go through it, you'll see it makes sense. And then what we find, it's nice because especially like this time of year, you may have interns coming in. Well, in other solutions, you have to go buy a license for that intern. With Acumatica, you don't have to do that. Everybody in the organization has access to Acumatica.
Yeah, and I'll reach out to you, Kaylee, to look at evaluating that. Another question we had was, can we track non-financial data like statistics in the GL, and can it be shown on financial statements and reports?
Yep. So in Acumatica, we have different ledgers. I'm just going to see if I can find exactly where I would set that up. To see how I used universal search, not just on that item, but for when I was looking up those documents that I had created. So yeah, you could do an actual, which is, this is my general ledger. Sounds like we probably got a lot of accountants on the call. So this is my actual GL, but you could also do statistical as well. So here I have a statistical, I think I have one for headcount. Of course, yeah, it's the last one. So here I can increase headcount by 3, decrease headcount by 2, and then I can do some allocations based on headcount. So for those of us in the accounting world that have worked with allocations before, you can then say, okay, allocate utilities based on headcount, right? That's what we're doing here. So good question.
All right. Sad writes, how does it work if we have multiple companies?
Yeah, and I would say how does it work? So in this case, what we do is we'd set up the various company side, and then you could log in to the various companies. So if you had, Mary over in Saskatoon, and she was only, well, probably use Services West if I got my geography correct, and she only had access to Saskatoon, then you would only see that particular company. And log in. And then the other thing that we can do here is actually we can manage transactions within Acumatica. I think I had actually set one up here, AP3313. And so Sad, I don't know if I'm answering your question, but this is kind of what I'm thinking. If you have those different companies or branches, see Products Wholesale, Services East, Services West, same thing that we have here. So Products Wholesale, which you and I are logged into, all right, is going to post this transaction. I remove the hold. Oh, see, it's pending approval. We could send an email. We could send a text message. Please approve this transaction. I'm going to go ahead and post this. When I release this, normally that'd be a 4-line transaction, right? 3 lines of expense and an AP. Nope, with Acumatica, it's like a 7 or 8 line because we automatically did the due to and the due from as well. So very powerful reporting and transactions. So everything happens real time. As well. So now when I go to run my financials, okay, so if I go into run the profit and loss, all right, I'm going to purposely run it when I know I don't have a lot of data, except for the $1,200 that you and I just entered, right? There's the 500, the 400, the 300, and note it's by my various branches or companies. I'm calling them branches, but it could be companies as well. And then to further upon that, see, there's the 400 for one entity. Services West got the 300, and Products Wholesale got the 500. So Sad, I'm not sure if that answered, that helped. If not, again, there's a great example where we can come back and do a deeper dive, or you can expand through the chat if you like.
Yeah, that's great. Handling intercompany transactions is huge.
Any other questions?
Thaddeus is asking, we are currently using Sage ACPAC, but we maintain 2 separate cloud softwares, one for our AP and one for AR. These transactions are recorded in Sage ACPAC. How would we benefit from Acumatica? And I would say you would benefit by having one system instead of 3. Everything can be managed out of Acumatica. I believe you're using separate systems for AP and AR because you couldn't get the functionality you needed out of Sage. But I believe you should be able to get it out of Acumatica and now have one system to manage and not 3, and not have the integrations back and forth between the various softwares.
Yeah, that's what the beauty of Acumatica is. And first and foremost, folks, we actually are a platform company, and we happen to build an ERP or an accounting system on top of our platform. Some of you may be familiar with Salesforce. Well, that's exactly what Salesforce has done. They have the Force.com platform on top of their solution, though, or their platform. They built CRM. We're the same exact, but we built ERP or accounting on top of our platform where they built CRM, but it's the same model. Okay.
All right. Kaylee asks, has CompuTrack done a transition from Sage to Acumatica yet? Would CompuTrack be supporting the transition? So we have not done a full implementation yet. We have a few in the works and we're in the design phase. But yes, CompuTrack would be supporting that transaction. I see Thaddeus is typing. No pressure to type faster. Oh,
Yeah, while they're doing that, again, very strong mobile capabilities. That's a great example. If you do need project accounting or you have folks out in the field entering expense reports, we could use the mobile capabilities as well.
one question I also got much earlier was, does AP document have OCR?
Yes, we do have AP document recognition, where you could, if their vendor were to email you a PDF file, AP@yourcompanynamehere.com, we can import that into Acumatica and it creates the transaction for finalization or for processing, if you will.
Can Acumatica do the same functionalities as Sage APA? Basically, yes. It's basically scanning the email address and pulling in those AP documents, which is the same functionality. So yes. And there's also expense reporting and PO. So yes, it can do the same functionality and more.
Any other questions?
That's all I have on my list here. I don't see anyone else typing. Any last questions? No, I think we're good.
Okay. I don't know if you have any closing comments, Stefan, or is that it?
Oh, one last question might be coming in. Give us a sec. We can select only the modules we need. So it comes in various, like there's the core and then there's the industry editions, right? So you don't need to activate all the modules, and definitely you don't need to activate all the industry editions. So yes, you can select what you need.
It's basically a la carte. I mean, there is the core that everybody would get, and then from on there, I want fixed assets or I don't want fixed assets. It's that type of thing.
Mhm.
That's the best French I got, folks. A la carte.
Will you have an additional demo in the coming months for anyone unable to make it today? Yeah, we'll be doing more of these lunch and learns. We can also talk to those people directly and see what their requirements are and do something more personal if they need us to talk to them directly. So we're open to that. Just have them reach out.
Okay.
All right. So I'll take the screen back.
Okay.
So, all right, everyone, thank you for joining us today. We'll give you a couple of minutes more for lunch before you have to go back to the day today. But again, thank you so much for joining us. We hope you learned something, and feel free to reach out to myself, Stefan Southwell. You guys all have my email, my number, and I'd be happy to talk more about what Acumatica can do to help grow your business. Thanks, Eric, so much for your time for the demo.
Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the day. Bye-bye now.
Bye.